Hello, welcome to Studio Talks. My name's James Swift.
I'm Joshua Norton, and our guest today is...
I'm Pete Ridehalgh.
Hey Pete, are you okay?
I'm very well, thank you, yeah.
Good. How are you doing in the lockdown? What advice do you have for people?
It's been not too bad for me because I've been working throughout. It's been slightly different because I've been going to work 3 days a week and trying to get all my work done in 3 days. It's a lot of people have been working from home, but even though I work on computers, the system that I work on it's totally secure, so you can't get at it from the internet.
Right.
So I'm still having to go to work, but working in a deserted office, so I'm getting loads more work done, and also having 2 days at home. So it's been manageable for me. I know some people have been cooped up the whole time. Which can't have been easy, but for me it's not been too bad. And the 2 days that I have been at home instead of at work, I've tried to make the most of catching up on books and things like that, which I've meant to read for a long time. And it sort of gives you a chance to relax at home without feeling guilty about it. Normally, I think most of us rush around like headless chickens all week and probably work a little bit too much, and the life-work balance isn't always in favour of your home life. I've seen it as a little bit of an opportunity, really, to catch up on some stuff at home without worrying that I should be out somewhere doing something else. So,
excellent. In terms of working alone, I mean, how has that been? Has it been scary or just lonely or whatever?
It's not been too bad. The office where I work normally has about 80 people in it, and when I've been going in, there's been 2.
Jeez.
So it's totally different. But to be honest, when you're busy, you're busy, and I found it quite good. I've actually, less interruptions, the phone's not going, that sort of thing. So it's been all right, really. Yeah.
Oh, excellent. Brilliant.
How did you get involved in the studio?
On the studio, well, the first time I ever went to the studio was to go to a gig, actually. A band called the UK Subs. I think it was about 2010, if I remember correctly. And
cool.
it would have been 2012, I think.
Right. Okay.
So the studio started putting on gigs, and one of my favourite bands, the UK Subs, were playing, and a band called The Last Gang in Town were supporting them, who funnily enough, my son Toby now does some drumming for them. So that was the first time I ever actually went into the studio, and it's probably physically pretty much the same today, but then obviously after that, there was a thing called Access All Areas, I think it was called, which was like a summer music school during the summer, which the kids, Toby and Mia, both went to. I think Steve, who's still at the studio, he was involved, wasn't he?
Yeah,
and a couple of other guys who were really good, and they spent a lot of time, teaching the kids not just instruments but how to use the equipment and that sort of thing. And I remember asking if I could stay, but I was too old at the time. I think 18 was the limit.
If I remember correctly, I think a lot of people was like, this. If only this was for like adults as well as kids, because I know that it was that specific year was such a big year for the history of the studio, what it is now. So, what is your history with music?
I've always been a massive fan. I'm probably more of a listener than a player. I do play a little bit. Played the guitar since I was about 15, I think. But my real interest in music, I like to collect records. And I was lucky in that I was a teenager when music really exploded. Punk rock became a thing. The Sex Pistols and the Clash and all that sort of all those bands. And I was very lucky that just as I was getting into music, that was all happening. And where I lived at the time, I grew up in Blackburn in Lancashire. And there was a really good venue called King George's Hall, which cottoned onto punk really quickly and had all the bands like Susie and the Banshees, Sham 69, Buzzcocks, the Clash, people like that. So I had a chance to go and see them at a young age. Probably got in a few gigs younger than I should have done. But that was my introduction, and I've been hooked ever since. I then moved to Liverpool in 1982 when there's a club called Eric's, which you may have heard of. And again, it was like a pioneering place for all the new bands. So I spent 4 years in Liverpool, again watching bands. I then moved to London purely because there were so many gigs going on down there. And I lived down in London for about 7 years, and I was going to gigs like every other night. And it was down in London that I picked up playing the guitar again a little bit. And I joined a band called the Slug Pellets, who didn't have much success. Well, yeah, it was mainly a practice band, but I started playing again then anyway when I was down in London. And so I always loved going to gigs basically, and playing as well. I mean, probably know I'm in a little band at the moment, and we do play live gigs, but I just love going to watch live music. And that's one of the biggest setbacks of the lockdown, is it's all not happening at the moment, and it's unlikely to happen again very soon. I don't think it seems to be one of the last activities that is going to be allowed. I think.
I know there's a lot of restrictions on singing in public, and it's sad. It is sad.
Very sad, but also, I mean, with the gigs that I tend to go to, you've got big crowds packed together in small spaces.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's just not going to be allowed for a while. I wouldn't have thought so.
Yeah, I went a gig in February, and because that was when it just started, didn't it? Like the corona, so it was not as packed as it normally would be, but it's still a lot of people.
But I think a lot of, even when it's allowed, a lot of people will stay away just because they're a little bit worried, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. Just to be a bit more cautious and stuff.
Yeah. So that's it. Yeah, really. I'm more of a listener than a player, but I do enjoy playing music as well.
Where did the name, was it Slug Pellets, did you say?
Slug Pellets.
The Slug Pellets. Where did that come from, if you don't mind me asking?
I think we used to spend actually more time in the pub discussing the band name than we did actually practicing. And I think Rebellious Jukebox was one name.
That's good.
Onion
That's
Weed
a good
was
one.
another one. We ended up with the Slug Pellets. I don't know why, to be honest. It's not particularly significant. We just thought it was a good sort of punky name.
The reason I ask is because when I'm editing these podcasts, I listen back on people's like band names that they used to have, and some of them are really like, it's such a shame that they didn't take off, because it's such a good band name.
Well, it gets you noticed if you have a name that
definitely
people remember, then it just gives you more chance of getting noticed.
Yeah, definitely.
What was the formation of What's Up Doc?
It started off Georgina, my wife, and a couple of our friends, Gareth and Pete, were in a big ukulele band, and basically I think it got a bit too big, and they were decided to it was getting a bit unwieldy, so they thought, we'll have a few practices on our own, just the three of them, to learn different songs, and that's because when you've got a big ukulele band, I think they just tend to play the same songs over and over again. People expect ukulele bands to play certain songs, George Formby. So they fancied doing a bit of something different, and they started practicing in our house. And my guitar was up against the wall. I took it down for a while, so I got roped in and persuaded to, while they were practicing, to just join in with the practice, and then that's it. The rest is history. I was induced into the band. Yeah, we were actually doing quite a few gigs before the lockdown, pubs and open mic. Played the Brindley a couple of times. Played the studio, of course. Played the studio at the acoustic night and the Rock and Bowl, I think. So it was going all right, and we do still practice. We've tried to do it through Zoom, but we found that difficult. There's always a bit of a lag. Someone's always behind. So at the moment we sort of get together. We had a practice in the garden the other night. Hopefully soon we ought to get a proper practice. That's how it formed, really. It was an offshoot of another band, and I got dragged in, but I didn't mind. It's going well. It's good fun. We try to play a mix, because Gareth writes some really good songs, so we've got our own songs, but we're always aware that when you're doing a gig, if you just play all your own songs, it might be a bit much. The audience like to hear songs that they know, cover versions, but we try to do cover versions that other bands don't do. So we do Ace of Spades, and we do Psycho Killer, and the Undertones, Teenage Kick, stuff like that, which is you wouldn't expect acoustic band to do. So we try and do it a bit different, and hopefully it works.
Definitely does. Slightly off topic, what got you interested in working on radio?
Oh, the radio thing. I do a punk rock radio show every Friday night on Halton Community Radio. To be honest, I was encouraged to do it by a friend who was already doing the radio. The Halton Community Radio is totally volunteer run, and there's no professionals. It's all, they say it's by the people, for the people, so anybody can have a go. They were looking for something a bit different. Most of the shows on HCR were either talk shows during the day or sort of standard middle of the road music, rock, country stuff in the evening. Because I did fancy the chance. What I like doing is if I discover a new band, I like to tell other people about them and get them into it, because like you were saying before, bands deserve to be heard. There's a lot of great bands who never get played on the radio, and so people miss them, and then they just disband because they don't really get much success. So because I had a big record collection, I said, yeah, I'll give it. I was a bit nervous about doing the radio because it's live. It's not, if you get something wrong, it goes out live. So I was a little bit nervous at first, but and I made a few mistakes, I must admit. But I just enjoy playing music. But if one person rings up and says, oh, that's a new band I've never heard of before, and I'm going to go out and listen to them, then that's been a show, well done, really. And I do 3 hours every Friday night. So originally, a friend of mine called Pete Blackmore, he was doing a show on a Saturday, and he said they had a spare slot. He said, just go and do it, you'll have fun. And so he taught me how to use all the controls and the equipment and that sort of thing. Yeah, I've been doing it ever since. It goes out on the internet live as well, so people all over the world can hear it. I've had emails from Australia, from India, from America.
That must be really inspiring to hear all of the world, if that makes sense. That must be really rewarding.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Now you forget you sat up in a little studio up in Halton Village, and then somebody sends you an email from Australia, and you suddenly think, wow, that's fantastic. And and I say if each show, if somebody just hears one song which they think, oh, that's great, I've never heard that before, and then they go and look into that band and they sort of become one of their favourite bands, and that's what it's all about. So it's not really the actual being a radio presenter is not the point of it for me. It's the music that's all about.
And in terms of like local music, I mean, home community radio, I've always been very good at that, at giving everyone a chance. I mean, when we did a show for it, and lots of local music just playing, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, well, I do try and get bands on when I can, to come and talk on the radio, and even play live. We've had there's a band called Pete Bentham and the Dinner Ladies, he's from Widnes, and so they've been on. A chap called Carl Moorcroft has been on. He's from Liverpool. And then we had at Christmas the Ponderosa Glee Boys, who originally one of the guys was from Runcorn, one's from Liverpool, but they live in various parts. One of them lives in Australia now, but he came over at Christmas, and we had them on. And I've had various bands from Manchester, but yeah, if there's any local bands, I'd like to get them in. The trouble is it's 10 till 1 on a Friday night, so then often they're out playing, but. If we can get them on, we do. Yeah, always open to people who are interested in coming on.
Yeah. Thank you.
What advice would you give to people who want to work on radio?
Oh, well, I'd say if you want to work in radio, you've probably already got half the skills that you need, because you just need to want to do it. HCR is a really good place to start, and most of the shows, a lot of the shows have dual presenters. So you start off maybe being the second presenter on a show, and eventually maybe work your way up to doing your own. But if you've got an idea and you want to do a show, you'll get trained up on HCR, because it's all volunteer run, and you can start off with a half-an-hour show if you wanted, or say just a little slot in somebody else's show. Even in my show, if anyone wants to come on and they've got an interest in punk, then that will be more than welcome to come along and just co-present. And that's the way to do it. Just there are other community radio stations dotted about. I think there's one in Knowsley. If anybody's interested, you don't even have to go on the air if you don't want. You can go into the studio, learn how to use the controls and the equipment, and you don't even have to say anything if you don't want to straight away until you get your confidence up. So yeah, I'd say anyone who's interested, just give HCR a call or an email, and or drop the name to me, and I'd pass it on. Really? It's good fun. It's really good fun.
So before, when you was talking about having like quite a big collection of records, you obviously do a record stall. What got you interested in like selling records?
Well, originally it was a a fairly sad reason, because I had a good friend who I met in Liverpool when I first moved there to go to uni in 1982, and we stayed friends ever since then, mainly because we liked exactly the same sort of music, so we used to go to gigs together. But a couple of years ago he passed away, but he left all his records to me, and so he had a massive record collection, and because we liked the same sort of music, we had a lot of swaps, a lot of duplicates between us. So the records that I already had, I had started to sell, and basically all the money went to charity, and it was quite good. It was sort of a labour of love to go through all his records, and a lot of them I was actually there when he bought them, or we'd talked about them, or we'd listened to them together. So I kept a lot of them, but all the ones that were duplicates, I did a record stall, did it at the studio actually. We did some record fairs there, and there was some the Sunday bazaars at the studio. Did some record fairs. I actually did some record fairs in Liverpool as well. And I really enjoyed selling it. So it was because people come up and start talking about them, and you know that they're going to somebody who enjoys that sort of music. So even though it was a sad thing that got me into it in the first place, I've really enjoyed doing it. And what I need to do now is actually stock up again. So I've sold most of the vinyl. I've got lots of CDs left. People don't seem to buy CDs as much these days because you can just use Spotify or whatever.
Yeah.
But the vinyl's still popular.
Yeah, I ain't owned a CD in years. It's just all digital.
I always buy the CD if I know the songs, but if I really so I'll listen to it on Spotify and I'll go, I really enjoy this, I'm going to buy it, if that makes sense.
I was thinking it's good to have a physical copy, because if on Spotify or
definitely
you've downloaded it onto your laptop or something, you forget about it. But if you've got a CD on the shelf, 10 years time, you'll just go and pick it up and play it again. Records get deleted if they don't sell that well, but then they don't get repressed, and then they take it off Spotify, and then that's it. You've had it then. So yeah, I'm a big fan of physical media and also the bands get more money that way. They get virtually nothing when people play Spotify. So yeah, keep buying your CDs.
Where can people buy your records?
Well, at the moment, I haven't got an online account for really selling them. There's a website called Discogs. I don't know if you've ever come across that. That lists virtually every CD and album that's ever been made and gives you a price. And you can sell them there, but then that's like you have to mail individually over to anywhere in the world, and it's probably only worth it if you've got loads and loads of stuff to sell. But basically what I do is record fairs, and next time there is one at the studio, I'll probably be down there, because I'll have built up a little stock again by then. But yeah, I haven't really got an online presence for selling the records. But I say I've got loads of CDs, so I'll bring them down as well next time.
I don't know whether this is actually relevant because you just said that, but where can people find you online, like the music you do?
Well, in terms of the radio show, I've got Mixcloud. I've got loads and loads of shows up on Mixcloud.
Really?
So generally, I'll do the show, I'll record it, and then it'll go up on Mixcloud during the week if it's been a good show. If I've made a few mistakes, I sometimes won't put them up, but most of them are up there. We've got a Facebook page for the radio show as well, so people can get in touch through that. It's called HCR Punk Rock Show. It's on Facebook and it's on Mixcloud basically. And HCR itself has got a website which you can drop emails to that way, put requests in.
Is there anywhere people can find What's Up Doc online?
We've got Facebook with a few videos up there, and contact details, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Excellent.
And
cool.
We've had a few bookings through that actually. People have gone on the website and seen the videos and booked us on the strength of that. So yeah, it seems to be the way to go. Facebook. Everyone seems to use Facebook these days, don't they?
I tried to avoid it, like actually going on the physical website, but I tried deleting it, and within a couple of days put it back on. I think in the world of that with music and stuff like that, I think you've got to kind of have it. Cool. Well, thank you for joining us today. It's been absolutely great. It's been really fun.
I've enjoyed it. Yeah, thank you.
Cool. Good, yeah.
Don't forget if anyone fancies to go on HCR, if you want to come and do a co-presenting slot, just give us a shout.
That's great. Thank you.
Yeah. All right.
See you soon.
Thanks very much. Enjoyed it.
Bye.
Thanks a lot.